this is a revolver that's suited more to the Wild West rather than the West Midlands. So
Right.
what is it doing here?
Well, I've had it over 40 years, and I've always collected antique arms. And my primary interest in the early days was for size. It was the invention of the percussion cap.
Very interesting that you say you're interested in Forsyth and percussion ignition.
Right.
That's a pressure-sensitive explosive that's hit by a hammer and it flashes and it sets
Yeah.
the main charge off.
Correct.
Because this is the first firearm that really used tiny percussion caps to produce a repeating effect.
Correct.
And this pistol was made by Sam Colt in
Correct.
Paterson, New Jersey, and his patent was 1836,
Yes.
and production started probably about 1837. And
Yes.
looking at this, I think this is really early in the series.
Right.
And I would say that this was actually made in the first months of 1837. I've always found this one of the most iconic firearms ever, because when I was a small boy, I had the boys' big book of firearms, which all
Right.
boys had.
Yes.
And there was this pistol in here, and it said Paterson Colt, and I looked at it and thought, there's something funny about that. It hadn't got a trigger. What use is a gun without a trigger?
Right.
Let me show you. As you pull the hammer back, bingo, out comes a little trigger.
Yes.
And so you pull it and the hammer falls, and that would set off the percussion cap, which in turn sets off the powder charge and sends the ball off down. It's rather a long barrel for a pistol
Right.
of that age, and you would have 5 shots because it's a revolver.
Yeah.
Now, Colt didn't invent the revolver, he just perfected it. It was a very old idea, but Colt's patent was perfecting it by, when you pulled the hammer back, it actually locked off the cylinder against the barrel and it lined it up, because before that it was always a bit haphazard, and if you hadn't got it lined up the thing would blow up.
Yes.
And that was pretty inconvenient. In my opinion, this is the most important firearm ever made in the development and the history of firearms. To give you a comparison, if you think of the great Texas fight at the Alamo
Right.
a year before this was made, most of the combatants there were using flintlock pistols, flintlock
Correct.
muskets. That was 1 shot and you had to reload it.
That's it.
That is 5 shots before you had to reload it. I think this was the death knell of the Native Americans, because they just could not deal with troops sent against them who had so much firepower. They were fantastic light cavalry, they could strike and then go away, but when they were faced with that relentless volley of lead, they just stood no chance. It established that repeating fire was practical, and everything else that fires many times without reloading has come from that.
Right.
So, how much did you buy it for?
Originally, I've had it, as I say, for 40 odd years, and I paid £150 for it.
Well, it was a fair good sum, wasn't it, 40 years ago?
Well, it was a fair sum, but I thought it was worth it when I looked at it.
Yeah. I've thought long and hard about what this might be worth, and I have to say that I haven't seen very many of these. I think in my career I've actually sold one, and obviously I've seen them in museums and such like. So to get it properly valued, first of all you've got to establish that it's a right one, and if, as I think it is, I have no reason to doubt that it's not a right one. If it is, then I think it's got to be £150,000.
Oh, well.
I think it's the most important firearm I've ever seen on the roadshow.
Okay.
You know, 31 years. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
What are you going to do with it next?
Well, I'm open to offers.